When it comes to PvP, the trap that I think people fall into quite often is approaching this game with a WoW mindset or pretty much any other MMO mindset when it comes to PvP, where all you really need to do is farm the best gear, make sure you're using the best build, and then the game will then play itself for you. But one of the things that I've been so dearly trying to get across since day one in this game is this is the least MMO like MMO that we've played in a long time when it comes to at least PvP. There's a lot more that goes into PvP to the point where I'd almost relate this more closer to like a fighting game than I would an MMO. There's a lot of little nuances that go into combat and the actual actions you're doing, but the topic of the video today is actually going to be talking about builds and how people put them together. Now, you've seen in the background here, we have a little 3v1 going on with my rapier ice setup, and this is one of the first fights in a long time where the game actually felt good to play. But we have a fight with 3 melee players, which really helps this fight be possible, number one. But the thing I kind of want you to take notice of is their weapon choices throughout this fight. As you saw, we kind of were able to take advantage of the fact that we have a lot of CC up in that little tight area there, and we were able to get them trapped in an ice shower and utilize that space to our advantage with our CCs quite a bit. But we jump into another little fight here with them, and it looks like at least two out of 3 of them are running hatchets. And that's kind of the main thing that I want to talk about today. When it comes to actually making PvP builds, I think very few people in this game are considering how many things that go into a build. If you just take a look at the fact, or consider the fact that we have 3 abilities per bar, doing something like using a weapon as just an escape tool or a back weapon and not considering how that weapon fits into the rest of your build is where I think a lot of people end up finding frustrations. Hatchet has become a very popular weapon this patch with the nerfs to rapier, and I'm sure a lot of you have been seeing a lot of hatchet players this patch kind of crop up. And it's just something that I feel hinders you more so than anything. A lot of the time what people will end up doing is building or throwing a hatchet just to have that undeath ultimate there. Now, as you saw there, we actually did end up making a couple of mistakes and we get stun locked. So the problem ends up kind of being that people find enough success to where, why would I run an actual build when I can just run hatchet and then, you know, get away with certain things like this. But it all depends on what your goal is with PvP. Like, if you are a little bit more casual with it and you don't really care to put as much time into PvP, then that makes, you know, it makes sense and more power to you. I'm not really trying to tell people what to do. But if PvP is something that you actually enjoy and you want to get better at it, then there's a lot of things that I feel like people do that set them back quite a bit. And the really big one goes back to that mindset thing that I was talking about. At this point, all of the builds that I play and I upload videos about, I've been playing them for countless of hours, right? So all of the combos, the synergies between both weapons, all of that is muscle memory. So that when I'm actually in an actual fight, I'm not having to think about anything really. I'm just kind of playing the game and letting my body do what it knows to do. And the way that I feel you end up playing when you are kind of hindering yourself by running just a back weapon as an escape tool, for example, is it's much harder to build not only combos and muscle memory for things with that kind of setup, but you just have less combos available to you because you're really only utilizing one weapon as your offensive weapon. And that's kind of the theme of the fight here that we have in the background. If you haven't noticed already, but you're going to notice here that the players that we're fighting end up making quite a few changes with their weapons, but the hatchet is kind of something that remains on the back bar. So what ends up happening is they're essentially using half of the tools available to them to PvP, while I'm using every single tool and more that I have to me. So it's little things like that that I feel would go a very long way in just increasing your success and having more fun in PvP. But as you've seen, this has been quite a ridiculous fight so far. After dying and coming back and kind of getting our footing and knowing what to expect, we are not going to go down again. And this fight has kind of taken us to a really big open field, which is very bad for us. But we are running the Rapier Ice Gauntlet, which is our most durable build for sure. And being the fact that they aren't running as much range, this is a perfect setup for us. But you can kind of see that we are able to kind of just dance in between these guys and use the CC and the ability to reset the fight to our advantage to kind of stay alive this entire time. The hammer player, you can see I'm kind of ignoring. I'm trying to focus down that bow player. As you saw in my last video though, that isn't always the best option. So you see, as soon as I catch this hammer player in the ice shower, I know that it's pretty much lights out. Even though he has a hammer, or a hatchet, excuse me, I should be able to finish him off, and we are able to do that there. And the fight kind of just continues to ensue. The spear bow player ended up running up to us, and knowing that her hatchet ultimate is down, we're able to land that nasty parry, and then we are left down to the great sword and hammer player here. But I believe this is going to be the point where the spear player is going to end up changing her build around again. And I know that they're going to be coming back, so I'm going to go ahead and just try to do what I can to finish off the players while they're here. The parry kind of is still a little bit wonky. You see we just straight up take a shockwave to the face there, but just an absolutely ridiculous fight that's been going on so far. But that's kind of the other thing that goes into fights like this. Not only are they using essentially half of the tools available to them, or half of a build, but even the way they're fighting, there's very little synergy between them, and they're kind of just like dogpiling on me, which is allowing me to kind of evade all of them or find windows of burst opportunities on multiple targets at once. But you see they kind of jump back in here, and instead of kind of waiting for each other to pile back up, they kind of come at me one by one. And you're going to see that the spear player has now switched over to bow, but still has a hatchet on the back there. So I'm going to start out by trying to go ahead and focus this player. I know that she's going to have that hatchet ultimate up there to keep her alive, but I'm just going to go ahead and proc it. And I was going to see if I can just proc the ultimate there and then switch to a target. But we were able to keep her locked down with that, the slows from the auto attacks. And then we're just going to go ahead and open up on the secondary great axe, or the great sword player here. Just cycling our abilities. I don't think that we've even had to really disengage too hard yet. This build has just been absolutely ridiculous, but each time we kind of go in for a exchange here, we're able to just put in a ton of damage into the back of one of them. And with him kind of doing stuff like that, where we get a very obvious read on the crosscut, I can just kind of go for a parry and find openings like that pretty quickly. They do end up putting up a camp to just get a little bit of forward respawns, but again, as I mentioned, we're essentially playing an unfair fight because of the fact that they're only using half of their build. But we jump back onto this hatchet player again, just put in almost her entire health bar and a couple of attacks there into her back, and it looks like there is another spawny out of the camp there. I don't want to end up getting caught by multiple stuns. If the bow player had probably stayed on spear, that would have been their best chance of getting me to chain their stuns. But now that the fact that there's essentially only one real hard CC you need to watch out for, makes the fight a lot easier to manage. And I am trying to focus the bow player. I know that her hatchet ultimate is down, so if I can land some burst, we can definitely find the kill. But I don't want to overextend too much. It is up again. I believe the cooldown I thought was longer than that, but we do end up proccing it again there. And instead of overextending, you see I instead just kind of turn back, and then we focus our attention on the other two truckers that are in front of us here. The stun is just such a incredibly easy ability to read when they just open up with it like that, so we are able to either just dodge it or throw it into a parry and finish off somebody quite quickly with it. Does a good job of actually negating that damage with the Calamity and pushing us back, but I'm trying to see what I can do about this bow player. I don't want her to just kind of be standing in the back and shooting me the entire time, so I'm going to try to bring these melee players over to her so I can at least have them in close proximity. We put just a ridiculous amount of damage into that player again. The backstabs on this build, I'm actually running a rogue rapier right now, and just being able to hit somebody with just a couple of attacks in the back is so much damage. But yeah, just a clean fight so far. Overextending is the thing that kind of is allowing me to stay alive here, or not overextending rather. We finally land the ice shower into the bow player, and we're able to finish her out there. But you can kind of see how I'm choosing my order of operations here. We're not overextending when we have nothing up. I want to at least have my entomb up for situations like that where we get very, very low. But I know that I have enough damage against these players, being that they're in light armor, that I can push the limits a little bit, being that we have forms of very, very hard CC. We are running freedom right now, so you see, even though he lands the shockwave, they were able to break out of the shockwave and land a parry because he just wasn't expecting us to be free that quickly. So it's just things like that. We're kind of using literally every single tool that we have available to us in this fight here. And it's just proving to be just such a one-sided affair here. Movement is going to be a really big thing as well that plays into your success in really any PvP situation. One of the things that we're using very, very well against these players here is constantly direction changing back and forth. I'm never really rolling in one direction. Forcing them to have to turn a complete 180 to retarget me is the thing that's kind of throwing a wrench into their plans. The fact that they're not really fighting together or synergized, and then the fact that I'm kind of constantly having to make them all reposition, is the little things you want to do in combat to give you as much of an advantage as you can. But yeah, I hope that the message kind of got across in this video. There's so much more to PvP than just your weapons and just the gear that you're wearing. How you use all that stuff together in conjunction is where you really will find the best results. But yeah, as always, if you guys have any questions, please let me know. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah.